in Berlin, myself and Dominic, another colleague. We hadn't seen each other in a little while, and we wanted to catch up, and we decided to return to Berlin. Just it was a kind of central point. We had a colleague from Poland, and the idea was just, okay, let's have a catch up and let's chat about some ideas and some projects that we're working on, see if there's common ground. And after that, we were working on other stuff, but after that, we had this idea. It was fermenting in my mind for some time about when we always come together as practitioners as a sector. It's usually organized by the likes of Salto or the NAs or other organizations, even partnerships with an Erasmus Plus. So maybe there's an idea or an opportunity for something that could be self-organized, it's self-financed, and it's self-resourced. And it would also be independent of organizations. And what we would do is be a collective of people who would come together. All those wonderful opportunities that practitioners like when they meet and they connect and they network and so on. So the idea was, let's see if we can organize something that we can put our resources, our energy, our time, our finances even into, and create a space that is independent from other places or from other organizations. We had this idea of a 2-day meeting in Berlin, and the one difference would be is that people would pay to attend. As per normal, often as you travel free, accommodation is paid for, and you get your reimbursement. But this one would be about investing. You would actually have to pay to be there. You would cover your travel, you would cover your accommodation, and you would also pay to take part. And there was a rationale behind that, which I'll come to in a moment. It sounds a little bit unusual in the youth sector, but it was really about that idea. Let's see if this is possible that we invest. We wanted to create a startup fund. This was the idea. And the idea of the startup fund is if you have 100 people paying €100 to attend, you create a startup fund of €10,000. And the idea then is that practitioners, if you want to use the word compete, or at least what they do is they come together and there's a process of elimination. The ideas are whittled down right to the last one. And there's a genuine level of support among practitioners to support the idea. And the difference being, it's not the money is not conditional. You don't have to apply for it. You're actually pitching your idea and you're gaining support as the process works itself through. And you're not having to, what we say, maybe jump through hoops, produce reports all the time. You would maybe come back, and not maybe, the idea is that you would come back to the next Bazaar and you would report on how your project or your idea is developing. And the startup fund would be the money that is accumulated by people paying in to be part of the Bazaar. So it actually, the 100 people buy €100 creates the startup fund. And then, as I say, we eliminate a process of narrowing it down to the final idea, and then that's awarded the money and the person goes off and starts up the project. From that is the idea of principles of trust, where the person gets the money and they go off and do the work. And the idea of trust, because we all know that the youth work is also a small field. So if somebody suddenly gets €10,000 and they end up reporting from Barbados, you know that maybe the money isn't quite going to the project idea. So assuming that they're not from Barbados in the first place, but this idea of actually using the money towards the project. So there's trust, reduced bureaucracy, you have support among your colleagues for it, you fulfill an idea or a passion that you have, and you're not reliant on Erasmus Plus funding or other funding, that you actually get it. You've earned the right to have the funding. I don't want this visual to be confused with current COVID in terms of testing, but what we did was we did some conversations. We had some conversations with our colleagues, which was to test the idea of what the Bazaar might look like, how it might be. We made some assumptions that practitioners would be motivated by funding, but we also learned very quickly that not everybody is funded to compete or to pitch in their idea. So what we discovered was there had to be a little bit about added value. And we wondered what that added value would be. It would also be the assumption that it is independent, so it's not policy driven. It's driven by the ideas and the energy that people bring to the place, to the space that we create. And we talk about the Berlin factor. Berlin is fairly central. It's fairly easy to get to. It's accessible. It's reasonably cheap to travel there and also to stay there. And most people probably in this room and most practitioners know people who are based in Berlin in terms of youth work. So it's quite a hub So if you were looking to attend, you would also know someone. You could say, hey, can I stay in your place? Even if it's to sleep on the floor, they might provide you with a sleeping bag also. So it was that idea, somewhere central, somewhere easy to get to. You have colleagues there, and I'm sure that most people know someone in Berlin. Maybe it's all the one person. So 100 people will be soon asking, can I stay in your room during the next time we organize? And so we wanted, what the added value is, what would people do? What would they come to the Bazaar for if it wasn't just to actually try and go away with the startup fund? So it was a little bit more than that. So we were led to believe that actually, maybe it's just Germany, but getting funding is not too difficult. So people would have to be there for something else. So whether that's the networking possibilities, to meet colleagues, to share ideas, there has to be something more than just this idea of securing funding or a startup fund. We wanted to find out a bit more. So we did a survey about a year ago, I think, maybe a little bit more, or a little bit late, but not so far away. And some of the things that we learned was that, are on your right-hand side of your screen here, only 1 in 5 actually deliver training in the international setting. There's an assumption that everybody is doing international training. This is not the case. We discovered only 1 in 5. Most people are doing training at local and national level. So this was something interesting for us. Over half have project ideas, and a third were ready to go. They could simply say, I have an idea. So there was an appetite there to get the idea funded. Over 70% were interested in securing up to 10,000 to support their idea. 3/4 of their ideas would fit into Erasmus Plus. Almost half of those were training courses. So what we learned about that was that they would fit Erasmus Plus already, but there's a kind of skewed in a particular direction. So we wanted to look at what other ideas fit, what other ideas are people can tap into. So training programs was the most popular one, but we know that youth work and delivery is much more than that. Most people look to Erasmus Plus funding. And if I was thinking, if it ended tomorrow, I mean, what we show with the UK by leaving the EU, that after the current cycle runs out, the access to it isn't there. The UK benefited 70 million euro over the last 7-year cycle. So it shows that people kind of put a lot of the eggs in the same Erasmus Plus basket. So one of the themes we wanted to do today was to show you that there's other things other than Erasmus Plus. Over half need more than 10,000 euro to make their idea a reality, but the obstacles are time, funding, and resources. And most people, essentially 90% said, look, we're ready to pitch my idea. So I have no problem, essentially, people were saying, is to go and sell and pitch and promote the idea. So there is a passion for that. And 100% said they'd be willing to pay 100 euro to attend. So people were interested in paying if they get the value back from it. 20%, 1 in 5 said they'd pay 200 euro, and 1/4 said they'd pay 500 euro, which was kind of blew us away a little bit that people would pay so much. Things have changed a little bit since COVID, so this might be slightly different now in terms of what money people have. So this is what we learned from the survey. So we decided to create something that would bring a little bit of the added value, and we would do a mini bazaar. Today is the mini bazaar. So this is the kind of the youth work and trainers bazaar. So we wanted that idea of presenting your project, networking possibilities, sharing ideas, and just the colleagues with no opportunity to meet them. We wanted to create the external context where we would burst that bubble a little bit, where we're familiar. Even when I was at Bridges for Trainers in November, the view was that we often do speak a lot to ourselves, and we need to maybe be chatting to people outside the sector. So it was that idea, let's do that. Let's bring in some external contributors, provoke some thoughts, stimulate ideas, challenge thinking. And the second bit was the eternal market, where you still have the opportunity to hear from practitioners who are delivering innovative pieces of work, and they are also responding to particular needs. There's the Bazaar concept, which is that idea, as you can see from the visual behind, that you can get many colors, you get many flavors, you get many tastes, you get many different ideas. You go in maybe with an empty bag and you come out with a full bag, or you go in with a full bag and you've sold it, you've bartered, you've marketed, you've met someone and you can exchange ideas, or you can sit and have a coffee of 1,000 blends of coffee. So this was the idea of the Bazaar. Going in there, hearing from different people, and coming out enriched, an enriching experience. I remember the first time being at the market in Jerusalem and being absolutely blown away by the colors and the tastes and the senses. And so it was that idea that you can go in and meet many, many different things. So this was the Bazaar concept. And where we are at now is we've had COVID. So this has kind of had an opportunity for, we wanted to do the in-person bit. We were unable to do it. So we decided to do a mini bazaar. We are looking at future mini bazaars. And when I say mini bazaars, because actually this is quite a logistical task for us to present so many workshops simultaneously in two different sessions. So it's not so many. It might have started out as a little mini bazaar, but it grew, I have to say, in size. But it's still a mini bazaar in concept. But we want to create the bigger, larger bazaar where, you know, we have maybe 100 people in the room or more. And so we will do future mini bazaars because we missed some people on the journey to get here for the second part. So we have still some ideas for the internal market to present again. So we will present another one. But we want to have an in-person in the main event, in-person bazaar. So we would hope maybe sometime later this year, when things allow, we can come together. So the invite is extended to everyone here and everyone who has attended today. And the question, some people ask me, who are the Bazaar? I mean, it's quite simply, there's no committee, there's no official body, it's not a charity. It's a collective of like-minded people. It's as if we were driving a bus. We took a car, went on a journey. We met someone at the side of the road and says, we have this idea. Would you like to come along and join us? And this is kind of how the Bazaar came about. And when we talk in youth work, we often talk about seminars, training programs, exchanges, compendiums, conferences, symposiums, blah, blah, blah. This, in a sense, we wanted to create that idea of the bazaar, that you can come in and just be there and see it, and you can feel it, and you can join in, or you can walk away, and so on. So this was kind of who the Bazaar. There are a few of us that are involved in the in kind of behind the scenes, myself and Dominic and Sabrina and Roy and Rachel and Nora and Patrick, and I'm afraid Abdijalal is in here today as well and joining us recently. And so I forgive me if anybody I've left you at just in this moment. So I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. But these are some of the people, like-minded individuals who are part of the broader field, wear different hats, but also like this idea of the Bazaar concept. So we extend an invite to you to be part of the future of the Bazaar. And what I'll do now, with that in mind, is I'll hand over to Dominic for some of the more technical stuff, but to say, can I let you know how you can be involved?
Yeah, thank you very much, Fergal. Before we try to answer some of your questions, probably, I would like to invite you to become part of the Bazaar. The easiest way would be to fill in our second survey so that we get a clearer picture of your needs and your ideas about the Bazaar, by just photographing the QR code or clicking the link. I put the presentation already on the first Padlet, the Blackboard Padlet, and there you find all the links, and the links are also in the program just on the bottom of the page. So it's easy for you to get access to it. So we would be really pleased if you could help us by filling in that survey. The second opportunity is, Fergal, can you forward?
One more or stay there?
No, stay there. If you feel like you can become a member of the team, it's the same way. Just photograph the QR code and register on the Eveno page, or just click the link later on. Also, the link is put on the web page with all the Zoom links on the button of it. So it's very easy. So if you want to join, so we plan to meet again in about 4 weeks time, and whoever feels like, yeah, I will post the links there, but in a second. Yeah, that's the second option. We would be really pleased if some of you feel interested and want and enriched by the ideas we had. So don't hesitate and become a member of the team. Okay, third slide, Fergal, please. And as the possibilities of having direct conversations today were not that much, so it's always a bit limited in breakout sessions or in Zoom meetings, we offer you a post conference meeting on wonder.me. Also, therefore, click the link on the webpage or here and join us for an informal meeting on wonder.me. And if you like, and you can get into contact with each other very easily. You can move yourself around. So it's more self-organized than a Zoom conference as we had today. Yeah, and that's basically it, Fergal. So I hand over to you again.
Okay, so yes, this is the point now. So listen, I want to thank some thank yous. There's always thank yous. So I don't have a funder to thank because there's no funder to thank. This has been self-organized and self-resourced. So I want to thank the team that have been part of it so far. So Dominic and Morgan and Roy, Sabrina, Abdel Jalil, Patrick and Damien, who was also in the workshop with Patrick as well. So Nora, Rachel, and yes, and Dominic I mentioned. So in terms of making this happen, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. I also want to thank all our contributors in the first part of the session, which was bursting the bubble. So I hope that that you found them informative and insightful. And our aim was to burst the bubble a little bit, as I say, to challenge and to create different ways of thinking and to think, to burst that bubble and to think a little bit outside of it. I also want to thank all our youth work practitioners who joined us for the second bit for the internal market. Thank you so much for everyone making up the time. They give it themselves freely to do that. And so no one benefited financially, I have to say, from doing this at all. So everyone gave it themselves freely. So which was the idea of the concept of being self-resourced and self-organized. So thank yous to everyone who contributed. So listen, you have an invite to join us post-conference. We don't have any champagne to bring to the party, but you're more than welcome to join us for a conversation. Can I ask you, just remind you on the Padlet, if you haven't done already, just to add on yourself on the map, and also some comments and some feedback. I know we had maybe one or two technical difficulties today, but in terms of just some of the connections and stuff, but I was also trying to answer lots of emails and respond accordingly, whilst my role of moderating in the workshop also that I was in, and both. So we apologize if there's any technical difficulties around that as well. But this is the normal for the moment. So I really want to thank all of you who made time out of your schedule to join us for today. And we hope that this is the beginning of a nice process and we create that Bazaar effect with more people coming on board. So look, that's it. Unless anybody wants to jump in, and I offer the floor for maybe last minute comments. We have a few minutes before we are due to finish, and that's wonderful. We're actually finishing a little bit early. So if anybody, now I'll stop sharing the screen actually, and if anybody wants to join in, or not join in, but jump in and offer a comment or a thought. I know there's some stuff going on in the chat there, so I'm not that great at multitasking, trying to follow both. So any comments or questions or any offerings at this point? And I also extend that to our team who've been involved to offer anything at this point as well. Okay, that's overwhelming. There's a clear message, you know.
Thanks to you, Fergal, for moderating the whole process and being so productive also in preparing everything.
Okay, well, thank you. I mean, it was a pleasure. It was trying to wear several hats is always challenging, actually. So I hope I didn't disappoint too much, actually, you know. So anyway, okay, folks, thanks for joining. That's a wrap, as it is, you know. I feel like a bit like Bugs Bunny, you know. That's a wrap. And thanks for joining. So that is lovely to have you here and to see you. Even if we didn't have any conversation, it is always good to have a sense of who is in the room. I was blown away at, just final comment, blown away to say that we had 220 people signed up. We did have our expectation initially was about, if we get 100 people joining us for this event, we will be absolutely delighted, and that we will see that as a nice success. We had 220. We actually had to stop the registrations last night. simply because we couldn't, we were a small team, and so trying to keep up. So to have so many joining us, it seems we struck a chord with some of the issues. So we really would like to continue with striking a chord, and so we hope we found it useful. And to have 42 countries at least represented is really powerful, as far as ways from South America, Africa, and right across Europe, of course. So listen, cheers, folks. If you want to join us in the Zoom, you're welcome there. So if not, we'll make sure you take the survey, please. We need that information, really important. And if you want to join us on get on the Bazaar train, please fill in your details and come back to us. We'd love to see you and hear from you. So in the meantime, have a nice day. We will see you all and hear from you soon, maybe in the next few moments. But in the meantime, take care, and yeah, well done. You can all applaud now, I think. Yes, okay. So I see you soon. See you soon.